you a bed for love. All right, I said what to a bed.
Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. My special guest this evening doesn't need any intro, provided you remember. Got a hammer, nail, and a hunk of wood. I'll build a dollhouse. And he is a hunk. Would you please welcome Mr. Buddy England?
Thank you.
Hey, Buddy, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Don't get to do too many these days.
There aren't many.
No.
This is all good. This is all
So
good.
there must be a queue a mile long out there.
I hope so. I hope so. People love hearing about what everyone's doing, what they did, and especially interested in what people are doing today. But we'll talk about that later, because I've just been hearing about what you're up to now. Let's start at the beginning. You were born in England.
Yes.
Was your surname really England?
No. How did you guess?
Oh, I don't know.
I was born in Woking in Surrey, which is sort of southeast of London, and my name is Ian Douglas Kilgour.
That's a big.
Yes.
That's a big change.
It wouldn't work in the music industry.
So did you start playing, singing
Early on?
early on?
Yes. I was kind of forced into it through my love of music. My parents, my mother was a very good singer. My father played, and also played piano. My father played accordion, mouth organ, and could sing. And my brother, who became a guitarist and was in a group called the Beatniks, and they were touring all over the place. And he's 10 years older than me, or was, God bless him. He passed away last year. And I studied the drums. I wanted to be a drummer. And then, unfortunately, his drummer got killed in a motorbike accident. And my brother phoned me and said, "Hey, you know all the stuff, you better come and play." And so I was, I think 12 or something.
12?
Something like that.
Fantastic. So you're doing gigs at 12?
Yeah. And then I started singing harmony with my brother. And when I was about 15, we became a duo. And we were called the K Brothers. In fact, we came here, and we were in Australia at that stage. And so we worked on IMT, and I think that was the only show at that stage.
Yeah, but it was
so we became
the big show.
So, yeah, and we did wonderful songs like "Zing, Zing, Zing a Little Song with Me, Come on, sing beside the side of the sea."
I can see it.
With a big band. And then my brother, who also studies to be an engineer, he decided to go back to engineering and teach. And at that time, I was probably 16 or so, maybe 17. I know I didn't have a license, and I thought I better sing by myself and go as a solo. So that's when I chose the Buddy, and I shoved the England on the end because it came from England. And I met a girl who worked, a woman. It wasn't a girl, it was a woman, and she worked in the publicity department at Channel 9. And she saw me working at some dance hall at Frankston or somewhere, you know. And she said, "I'll get you on IMT." And I said, "Oh, yeah, right." They weren't interested in me as a solo at that stage. And sure enough, she did. And I went on IMT, and I started working on IMT quite regularly. Then I went interstate to do whatever shows were there.
There, yeah.
And then, 64, I toured with the Easy Beats. Came back from England on a national tour because they just had Friday on My Mind, a huge hit around the world.
Yeah.
And they came back, and I went on the tour with them.
As a solo performer?
As a solo performer, yeah. And I think Peter and Gordon was on the program. Excuse me, Man from Man, from memory. It's taking me back a bit. Sandy Shaw.
Sandy Shaw.
Yeah, and whilst that we were here, the man who managed that tour, and indeed the Easy Beats was in the stable, was Brian Epstein and his partner, who was Brian Somerville, and in England, who was the Beatles.
The Beatles manager, yeah.
And they had Cilla Black and during the pacemakers and a whole range of people under the roof. And he said, I want you to come back to England.
Okay. We'll take a short break, be back soon, hearing about the mixtures, the seekers. I mean, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, well, kinda.
We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Buddy England.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest this evening is Mr. Buddy England. So, Buddy, you've just been on these huge tours of Australia with the cream of the crop of the entertainment out here. After that, you were approached to go back to England to record.
Brian Somerville contacted me and said, asked me to go back to England and transfer my recording contract from EMI here to London. Just paint a picture that Epstein is quite well known that Epstein was homosexual. Brian Somerville was homosexual, and up to this point, I'd seen Brian a few times and didn't have any approach to me as a person, or except for as a performer. And I said to him, I'd love to go back to England because that's where I came from. I wanted to go back and just see if I could crack it there. At this stage, Moving Man had been released, and it was released in America on Dot, and it went into the top 40 in the first week on Cashbox. And they wanted me to go over there. And I chose not to, which I wish I had have. But you can only turn right or left,
That's
can't
right.
you? Go straight down.
Well, people did have to make a choice, didn't they?
Yeah, so I went. I took the chance to go back to England, and I spent probably 6 months in the studio recording. I think I cut something like 35, 36 songs, big orchestra. Cut a long story short there, and it is a long story. I was there for the 3 years, and all in all. But by the end of the first year, they were ready to release, and Epstein had died. Somerville had taken over, and they were the best organisers of the media and the television people. And for only probably two good reasons. They were good at what they did, but the industry in England was controlled by the gay group. From Sir Joseph Lockwood of EMI at the top, down to the people packing records.
Showbiz.
At Showbiz.
Showbiz.
But you could not. That's probably why it was so difficult for a lot of other singers to get into that arena, because it was hard to break through that barrier unless you had someone breaking through the barrier for you. Or unless you happened to be the same vogue as them, you know. And they had...
Gee, that says a lot for a lot of English stars, doesn't it?
Well...
Don't go there.
I met a lot. I led a lot of managers and so forth, and people in the industry, publishers, because I was writing with Ardmore and Beechwood in London, and writing songs and so forth. Again, they were all associated with each other, and they were all part of that team.
Tight knit, yeah.
A tight knit group of people, a large group of people, and they were ready to release a single. Name which escapes me, Name of My Sorrow, I think. And we had several meetings with the head of Music Week and Melody Maker and directors and producers of Eamon Andrews' show, the Cliff Richard show, the this and that. And we were having a celebratory dinner before the week the things were going to be released. It was going to be front page of this and front page of that. And we went to this lovely French restaurant in Chelsea. And there were all the guys sitting around the table, probably a dozen. And sitting next to me was this heavy, ruddy-faced person who actually played Goldfinger in James Bond's Goldfinger, stroking the cat with the big ring and his gold fingernails. I can't think of his name, but he was an agent. He used to be an actor, and he was an agent there. And the hand on the knee under the table, and, my boy, I'm staying at the Dorchester. Said, would you like to come up and have a drink after dinner? And I said, no, thank you very much. And Brian Somerville sitting next to me, and I said to Brian, I can't handle all of this. I mean, you do what you got to do. I'll sing. I'll go anywhere and I'll sing. And I'll write songs for you and we'll record and we'll be successful. You just do all this. And he said, well, you're going to have to learn, buddy. That this, and I said, well, I'm not going to. And I did a silly thing. I'm not terribly short-tempered, much. So I stood up, grabbed the tablecloth and took it with me as I left the restaurant. And they had Chateaubriand and whatever all over them with wine and all the bits and pieces that went with it.
You should have gone back to the
Cut a long
drawing.
story short, the single was never released.
Oh,
Well, it was
why.
it was released, but I didn't get the front page of Music Maker and I didn't get a television show out of it. And I had signed a 5-year contract. And then that's when I got back into drums. I played drums at the Green Room Club in Berkeley Square behind Graham's big band for probably a year.
So
Because
what
I couldn't
happened with
work.
the contract?
There's no way I
You
could
just had
sing.
to sit it out.
They just kept releasing what was there and nothing
They
happened.
wouldn't release you from the deal, though.
EMI didn't either.
Wonder why people do that if they have no intention of
Well,
using
I
your
mean,
stuff. Why do they tie you up?
because they're bitchy, probably. I mean, I've got a lot of gay friends. Don't get me wrong, guys, out there. I've got a lot of gay friends, but they were a little bit different over there. They weren't effeminate at all. They were the brogues and the check jacket with the leather on, and the dark, the big black rimmed glasses and those sorts of things. You wouldn't even know. You would think they were an accountant or from down the road until they got you over a drink and tried to plaster you, and then the hand on the knee, and that was in it. So, but that's true. It's a true story, and it was a tough industry for anybody that, as I said before,
to break into.
To break into. So, I played the drums and so forth. Then Peter Gormley, Cliff Richard's manager, phoned me and said, I can't do anything for you, because he was trying to do it. He said, because if I do, Cliff won't get anywhere. They'll just can him. So he said, but speak to Kenneth Pitt. Now, Kenneth Pitt was an agent who was also gay, but Kenneth, I phoned him up and he said, come and see me. I understand exactly what's happening and I'll do what I can to help you. So he sent me over to Europe and I did song festivals, the Malta Oscar Song Festival, the Sopot Poland and so forth, and represented Australia. Because they never had a representative from Australia in these songs, in these contests. And so you spent a week in each of these places, did television shows, a couple of club dates and that sort of thing. So I did that for a year. And then I had a call from an agent out here who asked me if I'd come back to Australia and tour with an Irish group, and I stayed. And I didn't see any point in going back. I got a call from Mick Flynn from the Mixtures, who asked me, he said, what are you doing? I said, absolutely nothing, just writing. And he said, well, how about you come and join the group and take Idris's place, because he's got rheumatic fever and he's going to be out for probably at least a year and maybe 18 months.
This is Idris Jones.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I did. So I could work with the group, but I couldn't do Buddy England.
Yeah, so you were
Otherwise,
still,
they
because
would
you were
have
still
hammered
under
me. I was
contract. Yeah.
under contract. So I had a couple of years to go of that by this stage, and that was about 1970, late 69. And so we recorded with the Mixtures. We had 2 or 3 songs in the top 10. Then it just got better, joined the group, and then they recorded Push Bike Song. And off they went.
Off they went.
Yeah. And so then I went back to my solo, I think, because the contract had run out by this stage.
We'll be back very shortly with
Okay.
Mr. Buddy England.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. I'm with my buddy, Buddy England.
Thank you.
Okay, can we just run over a little bit of the Seekers, because I know that because of your friendship with Athol Guy, you then became part of, was it
Part of the group.
The group, yeah.
Yeah, what happened was Athol was in Parliament at the time, in Victorian Parliament, and a member for the Gisborne area,
That's
I
right,
think, or
I
Macedon or
remember
whatever.
that,
And he told me the group was going to get back together again, but they needed to find a new girl because Judith didn't want to do it. So would you go look and help find the girl? I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And Athol phoned me and he said, what are you doing on Monday? And this is a Friday. And I said, same old, same old. I'm writing some material and so forth. And he said, well, you're going to join the group. We're taking off on Monday to go overseas. And I said, because I'd worked on all the material,
so you knew
all
it.
the new material,
yeah.
and I knew the old material anyway, basically. And I just did Bruce's part because Bruce pulled out.
Well, speaking of Athol, just coming up to today, you were telling me about a new project that you and Athol have, and you will be touring.
Yes. Well, we put a show together. I'm talking with Athol for the last at least 3 years about this idea of putting a show together, and for Athol to be him, opposed to being one of the Seekers, and so worked out scripts and did all the bits and pieces, and we put the show together, and it's called Athol Guy and Friends.
So is it any of it going back to like the early days? Have you got any
all
old
of that?
videos?
Yes,
Fantastic.
all of that. So there's a full story.
People would love that.
A story about the Seekers and a story about when I'm on, and I go on and I sing 5 or 6 of my singles, and every time you touch me, I do that. I do. Yeah. I build a house.
Okay, I know for a fact that there is a Go show. Is it like a reunion concert or tour?
It's got a whole group of people who were on the Go show during its term.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, it was going to be interesting. I don't know whether I can handle all the egos, but I'll try.
So good luck with the Go show.
I'm sure it'll be good.
Good luck with your horses.
All the crew are excited about it, and the producers and so forth, and I think it'll be a great night. And if it sells out, there'll probably be another one, and who knows, it might even go interstate.
We might even have another TV show.
Well, yes, we'll call it Went.
Good luck with your show with Athol. What's it called? Has it got a little title?
Yes, it's called Athol Guy and Friends.
And you're his friend.
And I'm his special guest, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. Would you please thank Buddy England?
Thank you.
All the best. I'll see you next week.
I recall her then, so young and so free, so tan and straight, singing out for next to nothing. Now she's out there rocking to and fro. I gotta hand it to her. She keeps on singing, and I wonder how she do that. It's a little miracle she can still stand there. In the harsh spotlight, in her little black dress, to her very last breath, she will sing and keep on singing. Give the lady some respect. Give the lady some respect. She never seems to ask for much in return for having time for you. The drummer taps out the cross sticks like a bird at the window. She'd go with the crowded row if they swept her away. But porcelain cracks under a summer sun. She dozed behind the blind with a china white doll. If you mouth off from the darkness, she'll tell you where to go. It's the kind of life it can get